Everyone in that restaurant saw a quiet waitress, but nobody saw the ghost hiding behind her eyes. And when 5 trained killers came for a billionaire, they made one fatal mistake. They underestimated the woman they never even noticed. Sarah Bennett moved through the crystal room the way wind slips between city buildings. Quiet, unnoticed, yet sharply present. Guests saw only a polite, disciplined waitress with steady hands and a soft voice. Nobody imagined that behind her calm eyes lived a woman once known by a name that no longer existed, the Ghost. A soldier erased from government records that a weapon created and then discarded. Tonight, she just wanted to blend in to survive by staying invisible. But invisibility doesn't mean blindness. As she refilled glasses and cleared empty plates, Sarah's senses picked up on things most people would never catch. The way a man at table 7 scanned every exit, how another brushed his coat pocket. Once, twice, like checking a concealed weapon. The synchronized nods between men who pretended not to know each other. Then the room shifted, and a ripple of tension moved through the air as the doors opened and Victor Cross, one of America's most powerful billionaire CEOs, walked in with his wall of bodyguards. Loud, confident, untouchable at least, he believed so. Sarah's breath hitched. .4 strangers, 4 tactical positions, 4 perfect angles of attack. Her voice was steady but urgent as she approached Victor's security detail. "There's a threat," she whispered. "For men. Back left, window side, bar corner, and restroom corridor. They're coordinated." One guard scoffed. "Ma'am, please stay in your lane. We're professionals." "Professionals." She almost laughed. Sarah stepped back, heart tugging painfully between 2 worlds. The life she ran from and the innocent people who might die if she stayed silent. Her instinct screamed, her training awakened, and she knew walking away wasn't an option anymore. The first sign of danger wasn't a gunshot. That it was silence, that a perfectly timed, suffocating silence. Too heavy, too intentional. Sarah was stacking plates when she saw the man near the window rise and slip something from his sleeve. A thin, needle-barreled weapon, the kind meant for fast, silent kills. At the same second, the man by the bar reached under his jacket. Another blocked the restroom corridor. The last approached Victor's table with a napkin draped over his hand, concealing a blade. Sarah didn't think. She moved. The first guard fell before he knew why. Dart to the neck. Another was slammed into the wall, unconscious. Victor's supposed elite security collapsed like dominoes, their formation broken, their training useless. Then chaos erupted as a guest screamed. A wine glass shattered. Chairs toppled. And in the center of it all, Sarah, tiny, quiet, invisible Sarah, felt the ground tilt, her pulse drop into that icy calm she thought she'd buried forever. The ghost was back. She snatched the nearest object, a glass bottle, and hurled it with surgical precision. It smashed against an attacker's wrist, knocking the weapon from his hand. Before it even hit the ground, she was already moving to the second man lunged with a knife. Sarah grabbed an ice bucket, flung the ice in his eyes, and used the metal handle to hook his arm, slamming him onto a table. The kitchen door swung behind her as she sprinted through it. She grabbed whatever she found, a cast iron pan that ladled out a pot of boiling water. When the next attacker charged in, she turned the pot just enough to splash near his arm. Not to maim, just enough to stun. He screamed, dropping his weapon, and she used the heavy pan to knock him out cold. Her movements were pure instinct, fast, silent, efficient. Every strike precise, every step calculated. Not as a waitress, but as a soldier forged in shadows. People huddled under tables, trembling and crying, and every single one of them was still breathing because of her. But the fight wasn't over. Victor Cross, the billionaire who had walked in like he owned the world, now stood cornered. His guards were down, blood pooling near one of them. The leader of the attackers had Victor by the collar, pressing a broken shard of glass against his throat. "Move," he snarled. He never finished the sentence. Sarah stepped into view, breathing hard, her apron torn, hair messy, knuckles bruised. But her eyes were steady, cold, deadly. The leader sneered. "A waitress? You think you can stop me?" Sarah's gaze flickered, calculating distance, angle, trajectory. Then she moved. Her hand snapped forward with the precision of a sniper shot. A metal pepper shaker, small, heavy, spun through the air and hit the man square between the eyes. The shock loosened his grip, the shard slipped from his hand, and before he could recover, Sarah was already there. She twisted his arm behind his back, slammed him onto the floor, and knocked him unconscious. Victor stumbled backward, shaking, breathless. Who? Who are you? Sarah didn't answer. The sirens wailed in the distance as security teams and police stormed toward the building. Guests whispered, pointed, stared at her like she was something inhuman, something unreal. And in a way, she was. Her identity, her safety, was shattered. The ghost had resurfaced. Someone, somewhere, would notice. She stepped toward the kitchen, moving past broken glass, spilled wine, overturned chairs, and bodies groaning on the floor. People reached for her, wanting to thank her, to understand what they had just witnessed. But she kept walking. By the time the police burst into the restaurant, by the time Victor's team tried to identify the mysterious woman who saved their billionaire boss, Sarah Bennett had vanished through the back alley, disappearing into the city like a whisper carried by the wind. Within hours, security footage leaked, a waitress fighting like a phantom, had a nameless woman taking down trained killers, a hero who didn't wait for applause. The video spread everywhere, nationwide, worldwide. Everyone wanted to know, who was she? But Sarah knew the truth that a ghost doesn't get to step into the light. Not yet. Not ever, or so she believed. 4 men attacked a billionaire CEO in a restaurant. Waitress's hidden skill changed everything. The footage played on every major news channel in America. A waitress, small, quiet, forgettable, moving with the lethality of a black ops operative, dismantling trained assassins like they were nothing more than rowdy customers. Victor Cross had watched that video hundreds of times since the night of the attack. His assistants tried to move on with business. His board demanded explanations, statements, interviews. But Victor couldn't think about any of it. He could think only about her. The woman who had saved his life. The woman who vanished before he could thank her. The woman whose eyes held a depth of pain and discipline he recognized all too well. He wasn't just grateful, he was obsessed. Not with her beauty, though she carried a quiet kind of strength that made her unforgettable. And oh, Victor was obsessed with the mystery. Find her, he ordered his investigators. I don't care what it costs. And when Victor Cross said that, he meant millions. Within days, his team resurfaced files the government had erased. Sarah Bennett wasn't Sarah Bennett. Not originally. She was Sarah Hale, once a member of an elite, off-the-books unit known only through a few whispers as the Ghost Unit. A special operations group designed for jobs too delicate, too dangerous, or too politically messy to ever acknowledge. Soldiers with no name, no rank, no existence. The report continued. Officially disavowed after an operation in Eastern Europe. Survived. Vanished. Victor sat back in his leather chair, heart sinking. She wasn't just a warrior. She was a survivor of something horrible, something that made her run until she became invisible. His chief investigator cleared his throat. That's not all, sir. We traced the restaurant attackers. They were hired by Titanium Solutions. Victor's jaw tightened. Titanium Solutions, his most ruthless competitor, that a corporation known for hiring mercenaries instead of lawyers. What did they want? Victor asked, though he already suspected. The investigator swallowed. You, sir. We believe they planned to kidnap you, leverage you, possibly replace you on the board. Victor leaned forward, and she ruined their entire operation. They lost millions, months of planning, and now they know she exists. Victor's blood ran cold. If Titanium Solutions learned who Sarah was, what she was, they wouldn't rest. Not until she was either under their control or eliminated. She saved my life, Victor whispered, jaw clenching. Now we save hers. South Side, Sarah Hale, now Sarah Bennett, sat alone in a dim apartment that smelled faintly of old paint and dust. She had moved again. New clothes, new ID, new prepaid phone, new ways of staying invisible. But this time, it wasn't enough. Every channel showed her face. Every headline read the same. Who is the waitress warrior? Ghost woman saves billionaire. She hated the attention, hated the spotlight, hated that the life she'd built, the fragile piece, was exposed. A knock on the door froze her. Sarah's hand slipped silently to the kitchen drawer, fingers curling around a small steel knife. She approached the door quietly. "Sarah, it's me." Victor's voice, her stomach dropped. She unlocked the door, but didn't open it fully. "How did you find me?" Victor exhaled, half tired, half relieved. "I have resources. But trust me, others are looking for you too. And they're faster than you think." Sarah's grip tightened on the edge of the door. "I told you to stay away. And I ignored you," Victor said calmly, "because you saved my life. Twice, once at the restaurant, and again by disappearing before I could put you in more danger." Sarah looked at him then, a billionaire standing in her dim hallway, completely out of place, wearing a suit that cost more than her monthly rent. But his eyes, they weren't cold executive eyes anymore. They were worried. "Human, why are you here, Victor?" she whispered. He stepped closer. "To warn you. Titanium Solutions is hunting you. The people you took down weren't street thugs. They were professionals. This isn't going to stop. Not now." Sarah shook her head. "That's exactly why you need to leave." "Sarah, no." She cut him off sharply. "I've spent years hiding from the world I came from the blood on my hands, from everything I used to be. I don't need a billionaire savior. I don't need help. I need to disappear again." Victor swallowed hard. "Is that all you want? To vanish? Forever?" "Yes." She lied. But it was safer that way. The silence between them grew heavy, thick with things unsaid. Then Victor stepped back. "You're not alone, Sarah." "I always have been," she murmured. She reached for the door to close it. But then the world slowed. At a flicker of movement, a glint of crimson light reflected on the window behind her. A sniper's red, aimed at her forehead. Before Sarah could react, Victor lunged. "Sarah, down." The gunshot split the air. Victor's body crashed into hers, forcing her to the floor. She felt the impact through him, a horrifying, sickening thud as he collapsed across her. Blood soaked in her shirt. Time froze. Sound vanished. Her breath stopped. "Victor," she whispered, voice cracking. His face tightened in pain, but he managed a weak smile. "I told you, you're not alone." His body went limp. And for the first time in years, the ghost felt something she thought she had buried forever. Fear. Not for herself, but for someone else. The shadow she fled had found her, and they were willing to kill anyone who stood between them and the woman they now hunted. Sarah's teeth clenched. Her eyes turned sharp, cold, lethal. They wanted the ghost. They were about to learn why she was erased from the world. The moment the sniper's bullet tore through the window and struck Victor, Sarah's world snapped into two parts. Before the shot and after, there was no time to panic and no time to think. Only instinct. The ghost took over. Sarah gripped Victor's shoulders, her fingers slick with his blood. His body was heavy, far heavier than she expected, but she lifted him anyway. Strength born from adrenaline and old training buried deep in her bones. Another shot exploded through the glass. Then another. The apartment wall cracked. Dust rained. She dragged Victor toward the kitchen counter, forcing them both behind the narrow slab of concrete as bullets tore through her walls like paper. "Stay with me," she whispered, pressing her hand against his wound. His breath trembled. Through the shattered window, she spotted the sniper's nest atop a building across the street, barely a silhouette behind a darkened window. Too far to reach, too exposed to engage, too deadly to ignore. She pulled Victor closer, eyes darting, muscles coiled. She needed to move him. Now, 0.3 seconds. 2 breaths. 1 chance. She hoisted him again, half dragging, half carrying him across the living room toward the interior hallway. Shots followed them, ripping through furniture, shredding her quiet life into debris. This wasn't a warning. This wasn't intimidation. This was execution, and they wanted her dead so badly, they didn't care who else they took with her. When she reached the back hallway, Sarah kicked open the maintenance closet door, yanked Victor inside, and dropped to her knees. Above them, a panel led to the old laundry chute. Long abandoned, dusty, barely used. Perfect, She shoved the panel upward and forced Victor's limp body against the opening. "You're going first," she whispered. Victor coughed. Pain etched into his face. "Sarah, leave me." They want me," she finished harshly. "And that's exactly why I'm not leaving you." His eyes softened. Even through the pain, he tried to argue. "You can't keep protecting me." "I already did," she shot back. "Now, shut up and hold your breath." Before he could respond, Sarah pushed him upward with strength she didn't know she still had. He slid into the chute, vanishing into darkness. She wiped her bloody hands on her jeans, exhaled, and positioned herself low. Then she heard it. Boots, several, fast, closed. Ground team mercenaries were already in the building. The front door didn't break. It exploded. Wood splintered. Hinges flew. 3 men stormed inside wearing tactical gear and night vision visors. They expected panic. They expected a terrified woman hiding. They didn't expect her. Sarah moved before they even saw her silhouette. She slid across the floor, grabbed the fallen door hinge, a solid metal piece, and flung it. It struck the first mercenary's visor, shattering it and knocking him blind. He fired blind into the ceiling. Wrong move. Sarah launched herself forward, hooked his leg, and flipped him. He hit the ground hard. She finished him with a clean elbow. Strike .2, left .1 came at her from the kitchen side, firing with precision. Sarah dubbed behind the counter. Bullets tore through the marble, sending shards into her arms, but she didn't flinch. Old pain. Old familiarity. She grabbed the skillet she'd used in the restaurant. Deadly iron. Familiar weight. The mercenary rounded the counter, and Sarah swung hard. The pan cracked against his jaw. His weapon fell. She followed with a punch, so sharp it echoed in the apartment. The last mercenary moved more cautiously. Smarter, he tossed a stun grenade. Sarah's eyes widened. She dove behind the couch just as the grenade detonated. White light, ringing ears, shaking floors. Her vision blurred. Her breath hitched, but she didn't slow. She'd trained for blindness, darkness, pain. The mercenary rushed her through the haze. He was fast, strong, brutal. Clearly the team leader. He grabbed her by the throat and slammed her into the wall. Sarah gasped. Air cut off. Her feet lifted inches from the ground. Should have stayed dead, Ghost, he growled. Her vision dimmed, her lungs burning. Then her survival instincts ignited. She reached down, snatched a sharpened wooden shard from a broken chair, and stabbed it into the mercenary's thigh. He screamed, dropping her. Sarah collapsed, coughing, but she didn't hesitate. She swept his legs, pinning him. He punched her face, split her lip, but Sarah grabbed his wrist, twisted, dislocated his shoulder with a sickening snap, and then struck the base of his skull. Silence. .3 bodies down. .1 apartment destroyed. .1 life upended again. Sarah didn't breathe. She counted breaths. .20 seconds of stillness. Then she moved out, escape through the She rushed to the laundry room exit, ripped the panel free, and peered inside. Victor had fallen 2 floors. Not fatal. Not safe either. She grabbed the ledge and dropped in his chute, sliding down the metal interior until she landed beside him. He was pale, bleeding, barely conscious, but alive. "Hold on," she whispered, lifting him again. "I've got you." They emerged into the basement hallway, sprinting. Well, she sprinted while dragging him toward the back alley door. Just as she reached it, black SUVs screeched to a stop outside. More mercenaries? No, Victor's emergency security team. "Mr. Cross," one shouted, sprinting toward them. "Get him inside now." Sarah handed Victor over, her hands shaking. The medic assessed him quickly. Gunshot to the shoulder. Clean entry. "He'll make it if we move fast." Relief thundered through her so intensely she almost staggered. But before she could slip back into the shadows, 2 corporate security officers stepped forward. "Ma'am, we need you under protection." Immediately. "No," Sarah said instantly. "Ma'am, these were elite mercenaries. You're marked. If you walk away, I've been walking away for 7 years," she said coldly. "And I survived." The officer softened his tone. "But now they know who you are." Sarah froze. So many years spent running, changing names, hiding behind aprons and quiet smiles, pretending her past didn't exist, pretending she didn't care, but tonight shattered everything. Her apartment gone. Her identity exposed. Her isolation no longer protection, but a death trap. For the first time in years, she let herself feel it. 7 years of hiding, 7 years of loneliness, 7 years of pretending she wasn't built for more. Victor's weak voice pierced her thoughts as medics lifted him into the vehicle. Sarah, she stepped to his side. His hand trembled as it reached for hers. His eyes, the same ones that once looked at the world like a chessboard, now held something vulnerable, something human. "You didn't let me die," he whispered. "Don't let yourself." Her chest tightened. "I'm not worth saving, Victor." His fingers curled around hers, faint but firm. "You are to me." Sarah swallowed hard, something breaking in her armor. For the first time, she understood. Hiding isn't safety. Hiding is isolation. Hiding is a slow kind of death. The ghost had run long enough. Her past wouldn't stop hunting her, but maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to face the darkness alone anymore. Sarah stepped back, breath unsteady. She looked at the medics, the security team, Victor, and for the first time in years, she didn't choose the shadows. She chose to stand still. Stop running. Face the storm coming for her. Because the world thought she was just a waitress. But soon, they would learn. The ghost was done hiding. The safe house wasn't really a house at all. It was a penthouse above Lake Michigan, sitting high enough that the wind hummed against the glass like a distant lullaby. The space was all marble floors, panoramic windows, and quiet luxury. But tonight, with armed guards posted on every floor and encrypted communication humming in the background, it felt less like comfort and more like a war room. Victor lay on a medical bed near the window, recovering, color still pale, movements slow but alive. His eyes tracked Sarah the moment she stepped inside. She didn't speak. She didn't smile. She simply moved through the room, inspecting angles, checking blind spots, studying guard routes. Her fingers traced along the seams of the windows, measuring distances, testing locks, noting flaws. Even with her back turned, Victor could feel the shift in her. Not a waitress, not a runaway, not a ghost, but a soldier reawakening. "You don't trust my security team," Victor said softly. She didn't deny it. "You hired good men, but they're not the kind of people coming for you." Victor exhaled. "Coming for us now." Sarah paused at us. She wasn't used to that word. 7 years of hiding had taught her that alone was safer, cleaner, quieter. But tonight, watching Victor fight to sit up, watching him pretend he wasn't in pain just so he could meet her eyes, her certainty wavered. He wasn't treating her like a weapon or a liability or a charity case. He was treating her like a partner. "Sarah," he said gently, "come sit." She hesitated, then crossed the room, boots silent on polished floors. She sat across from him, back straight, jaw tight, eyes constantly scanning the exits. "You saved my life twice," he said. "I don't want to repay you with chains or protection. I'm not offering security. I'm offering partnership." Her breath stilled. Partnership. And one had offered her that since the ghost unit. And even then, it had been duty, not choice. She'd been a weapon they pointed at impossible missions. But this was different. Victor wasn't asking her to hide. He wasn't asking her to run. He wasn't asking her to be anyone but herself. "Titanium Solutions won't stop," Victor continued. "They've already spent millions to erase me. But now they know how dangerous you are. They'll come harder." A long silence hung between them. Sarah leaned back, hands clasped, the lake's silver reflection dancing behind her. For the first time in 7 years, she wasn't imagining escape routes. She was imagining standing still, fighting back, choosing to be more than a shadow. "I've spent years pretending to be someone else," she whispered. "Serving tables, changing names, looking over my shoulder." Victor waited, patient. She lifted her gaze, steady, unflinching. "Running hasn't kept me safe. It's only kept me alone." Victor's expression softened. "So you stay?" The old Sarah, the Sarah Bennett everyone thought she was, would have walked away. But that identity was a mask she'd outgrown. Slowly, deliberately, she stood. "I'm not a victim," she said. Her voice didn't shake. "Not anymore. I'm a soldier. If they want a war, she tilted her chin, calm and resolute. We give them one. Victor smiled, not triumphant, but grateful. Respectful point two opposites. The billionaire who'd spent his life in boardrooms and the ghost who'd spent hers in shadows, now bound by one simple truth. Neither of them wanted to fight alone. Sarah stepped toward the window, staring at the vast lake stretching endlessly under the moonlight. For the first time in years, she said her true name out loud. Sarah Reeves, she whispered. Not stolen. Not assigned. Hers as a soldier by choice, a woman reclaiming her identity and standing beside a man who didn't want to cage her, but stand with her. The war ahead would be brutal. But for the first time, Sarah wasn't facing it in darkness. She was stepping into the light with hope, strength, and a partner who believed in her. In a world overflowing with noise and distractions, we often overlook the quiet souls around us. The servers who refill our glasses, the cleaners who sweep our floors, the workers who move like whispers through our days. But sometimes, the greatest heroes hide behind the most ordinary faces. Sarah spent 7 long years running from her past, until the night she finally chose to confront it. Not alone, not unseen, but stronger than she ever believed she could be. Remember this, you never truly know who someone is until the moment they choose to rise.